joining us, everyone. I'm very excited for this event that we have planned for you today. This is going to be an all-encompassing panel discussion between three of our industry professionals that we work with. And I think it's important to know that all of our panelists are going to be as open as possible and really give you the rundown of what it's like to have, a career in the construction industry. So thank you for everyone that's joining, both as a school and as our panelists today. And like I said, I think it'll be important to just make sure to think about construction with an open mind. This is going to be more of an information session where you can kind of think about things differently. And please ask as many questions as you have. You can see Jared's probably on a job site today. Does everything. And then Jeff has kind of been through it all. So without further ado, we'll get started. So my name is Mac Dodds. I'm the Construction Industry Council Lead at West Michigan Works. I'll be your host for today. My Career Conversations is an extension of My Career Quest, which is an in-person career exploration event that we hope to be doing next year. This will be a great way for schools and companies to connect and for students to learn more about the career possibilities that exist in West Michigan. So, like I said, please be open-minded, ask questions. I think it's important to know that construction has got a large web of jobs and trades that you can go into. It's not just, one specific little thing within the industry. And remember that construction is not always a hammer and a nail. So I know you probably don't want to listen to me speak all day. We got our three great industry professionals. So I'm going to do a little intro and then we'll kind of just learn about each one of them individually and then bring everybody back in to answer some more questions and then see if we have any questions from our audience. So our first career guide will be Amanda Wildman. Amanda Wildman her official title is the Chief Experience Manager for True Media. Amanda has, tons of energy. Every time that I get the opportunity to talk to her, I think that I would love to work with her no matter what industry it was in. So Amanda is kind of the jack of all trades for her company, has an awesome story about working her way up through the construction industry. And I'm very excited to see what she has to say. Our second career guide will be Jeff Yonkers. Jeff Yonkers works for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 275 over in Coopersville. I've had the pleasure of knowing Jeff for about 2 years now, and Jeff is an awesome individual. Like I said before, he kind of had the experience of, being an electrician, now has a different role within his job. Just goes to show, all the different things that you can do within the industry. So really looking forward to Jeff sharing his story as well. And then last but not least, we have Jared Mendoza. He is a roofer for Summit Point Roofing. And I've had the opportunity to talk to him as well. Every time I talk to him, he's full of energy and really seems like he has a passion for the job. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from Jared as well. But first, a few items before we get started with our interview style with Amanda. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit those into the Q&A function on your toolbar. If you're watching as a class, you can jot those down and then invite your teachers to submit those as well. So we'll take time after talking to each one of these individuals and look at your questions and like I said, be as open or willing as you can to ask those questions. And then lastly, at the end, we'll have a survey. Please complete for the survey when you're done watching today, and your teacher will provide the link for that. So thank you everyone for joining us. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Amanda Wildman from True Media. Amanda, good morning. How are you?
Very good. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you students for being here. I am so excited to share with you guys today. And I think this is just the coolest opportunity for you guys to learn from professionals while you're still in school and kind of get your juices flowing and maybe some ideas for you about some different options.
Yeah, thank you. So Amanda, kind of on that note, did you see yourself always being as a person that was going to be in construction, maybe go through even to where the students are in high school and kind of think about your career path and your mindset throughout that process?
Yeah, not at all. I didn't picture myself in construction. I actually, when I was probably about the student's age, I was actually my first job at 16. I actually worked in a jewelry store of all things. So my previous career, I'm actually a certified diamondologist and gemologist, and now I work in construction, which is totally bizarre. But how I kind of got involved in construction is when I met my husband. He actually was starting to work for a satellite company and installing satellite dishes for television service for people. And I was still working at the jewelry store. And I said, you know, you're building this for somebody else. Why don't you build this for yourself? So why don't you take a year and we'll live off of my salary and you just keep reinvesting. And, you know, whatever you make in the business, you kind of do it yourself. And that worked for a year. We said, we'll check it back in a year. It worked really, really well. And eventually our business grew to the point that it got busy enough that I got involved in it. And then I first got involved, I guess, like kind of in the office, which I think a lot of times women see themselves in just being in that role, like perhaps in the office or sales or marketing or things like that. But what I found is a couple times, like if we own our business together. So if we would be short an employee or someone would call in sick, sometimes I would have to go out in the field and kind of be the helper. And what I discovered is I actually really, really enjoyed being out in the field and not sitting at a desk all day. So I actually kind of wear a lot of different hats. I help own the business. I do all of our marketing. I also do we're what's called integrators. So integrators basically I take people's smartphones and I tie in all the technology in their home to be able to run from a smartphone. So I can run people's entire homes from their phone or from voice control. So all the cool smart home technology things and stuff like that that you do, we went from satellite to getting involved in that. That's what it is that we do now. And so I do all of our lighting design because we do lighting control. So I do all the lighting design on blueprints. I do all of the software programming for that. And I do all of our rack building. And sometimes you will still catch me out on a pre-wire, and that's where we're doing all the wiring infrastructure. I'm definitely afraid of heights, so I make all the rest of my team go up and do the high stuff. But I do all of the rest of the stuff. So it's a lot of fun and it's very, very rewarding. Every single day is just a little bit different. So I love what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome, Amanda. And then if you wouldn't mind, I think it would be good too, just to kind of set the stage for students that might know. Would you mind describing the difference between maybe a field employee versus an office employee in construction? Because I feel like we get so caught up. You see people working on a job site when you're driving down the road, say, oh, well, that's all they do, right? Even though there's tons of technology and different things that they may go into their job. Would you mind just kind of going over the difference between someone that works in the field versus someone that works in the office like yourself?
Sure. So, someone like if on the days that I come in and I work in the office, I'll come in first thing in the morning and I might do things like answer emails. I'll be looking at blueprints and the designs that we have for projects. I'll be laying out what our wiring infrastructure is. I might be working with CAD, or we work with a lot of Visio, the software, which is very similar to CAD. So I do a lot of drawings and blueprint things. I also do a lot of programming, like we work with Lutron for lighting control. So I have special software for that. So I actually can program people's lights and things. So when they wake up in the morning, like at my house at 6 a.m., we have to be up. So 5:30 in the morning, our lights slowly start kind of turning on. So even if it's dead dark in winter, our lights automatically start ramping up. So we have simulated sunrises in our home. So that's kind of what I would do in an office: answer calls, help people troubleshoot. We monitor their network, so their internet service and things like that. I also have people in the office that do like they're in charge of my warehouse, and so they might be prepping orders or things like that. So that's kind of an inside job. And then field work, when I have field days, number one is you always dress in layers because you never know in Michigan what the weather is going to be like. But then field work days are different. So sometimes we have what's called pre-wire, which is during the very beginning phases of construction, or electrical walkthroughs, because we team up with the electrician and we now have an electrical division where we go out and we kind of plan out where all the routes are going to go for wires and things like that. Usually the client is there on that day, so that day can kind of be long. That's where you're determining where everything's going to go. And that's when you just see kind of all the wood on the houses, you know, all the sticks, like nothing, no insulation, nothing like that. It's just a shell. And then after we're done, usually the drywall people and stuff come in, and then we do what's called trim finish out, where we do all the connections or the terminations on wires. We do things like install the televisions, install the speakers, install the golf simulators, set up the home theater room, do the balancing, all of that kind of stuff. So every day is a little bit different. And I think one of the things that might be a little bit different from my company and like where Jeff is probably used to working is I'm a little bit smaller company. So when you work with a smaller company, a lot of times you have your hands in a lot of different things. You aren't, so if you don't know exactly what you want to do, you get a little taste of everything because I'm a smaller company. So everybody gets a little bit more well-rounded. Sometimes when you work for a larger company, which I would guess Jeff's company is like, you have a tendency to stay more in kind of like one area or kind of get a specialty. So if you don't know exactly what you want to do, sometimes working for a smaller company gives you a little bit of flexibility to discover and find out where your specific skill set is and what you really like to do.
Yeah, I think you, no pun intended, but I think you nailed that one. I mean, what's so cool about construction is, like we said earlier, it's kind of like a spider web, right? You have construction in the middle, and then you can go into electrical. Maybe it's in-home stuff like Amanda does for a small company, or maybe it's just one certain thing that you do. Let's say you only work on commercial buildings, right? So I think that's what makes construction so cool. And you can really choose which ladder you want to climb and take each step. So definitely one of the more rewarding and opportunistic things that are about construction. So Amanda, before we move on to Jeff, is there anything else that you'd like to say? Maybe give some tips or just advice to people that might be joining us today, and what you would say about the industry as a whole.
I would definitely encourage, especially, I mean, being a woman that's out in the field, I would definitely encourage girls to think about it. It is a more difficult path oftentimes just because there aren't as many of us out there, but those of us that are out there are really willing to like help and share and encourage. And a lot of the guys are really, really good about being supporters and encouragers. And right now, it's a great opportunity for women to get opportunities and careers in construction. And it's important that not only women, but even just diversity of just different people and different cultures is so important because we have to represent the communities that we're building for. And the only way that we can do that and the only way that we can know about those communities is to have representation of those communities within our skilled trades. So if you don't see a lot of people like you on a construction site, don't feel bad that you're the only one out there. You will find some people that will support you and encourage you, and know that you're helping to like lead the way because we need to have that representation.
That's awesome. And like we said, I mean, it's good to be transparent and talk about that, right? So I think last time I checked, we're at about 14% women in the workforce in construction. And we need more people like Amanda, or maybe somebody that's listening says, wow, what Amanda has done is pretty cool. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I would encourage any women to look into it. Like I said, there's tons and tons of different jobs within construction that you might not even think about at first. So thanks, Amanda, for everything and joining us today and telling your story. And we'll hop back to you once we get to the panel discussion.
Perfect.
If you have any questions for Amanda, please either let your teacher know or put those questions in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get back to those at the end. So next, we have Jeff Yonkers. Like I said, I've been working with Jeff here for at least the last 2 years. Jeff has an awesome story about, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, ended up in construction, or, sat in the same seat that you guys are sitting in right now, and has really made a great career out of it. And you can tell that he's passionate about the industry. So I'll let Jeff kind of explain who he is, what he does, and what his story is and how he got to where he's got.
Thanks, Mac. Funny enough, I was actually just thinking about this morning. I think that we've known each other and been participating with each other since late 2018, maybe early 2019. I know that we were on schedule to do a couple of the career quests with you, and we've worked behind the scenes on doing a few of these events and other things like that. So any chance that I get, to be able to help you out with these and tell our story about construction in general, I definitely love doing it.
Yeah, we appreciate that more than anything. So yeah, I've always resonated towards your story. So Jeff, why don't you tell everybody about what you do at IBEW 275, what exactly a union may be, the
Sure.
difference between that and non-union employers, and then just your story, how you got to where you've gotten, and what you enjoy about the industry the most.
Yeah, so my lineup is a little bit different. So as Max said, I work for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
Oh, it looks like you muted yourself there.
Oh, okay. There we go. So I work for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 275. We represent electricians that work basically in the Western Michigan area, work anywhere from Holland all the way to Ludington, over to Big Rapids, and then down to Ionia. We basically represent anyone that works in the industry, residential, commercial, industrial, telecommunications, things like that. Doing various types of work on different sites. My role here is what we refer to as membership development. It's a really fancy term for organizer. I talk to those who are interested in becoming electricians about what the paths are to get here. I also talk to people who are what we refer to as unrepresented or non-union electricians that are working in the industry that may be looking for a change. The best way to describe the difference between the union and the non-union, I tell everybody it's pretty much the exact same work. The only difference is a contract. So with the union, it's very black and white. It's laid out basically what's expected of us, and then what's expected of our counterparts or our companies that we work with. And it's pretty much something that is negotiated usually on a term of 1 to 3 years, and then we go from there. So my path is, as Max said, is a little bit different. I graduated from Granville High School in 2002. I kind of barely graduated. Wasn't real sure what I wanted to do. At the time, I thought I wanted to go to college. And so I enrolled in college, and I got to my very first course, which was a math course. And the professor, I'm sitting in a room with probably 60 other students, and the professor tells us, hey, I just want to let you know that I've already been paid for this course. So if you show up, that's great. If you don't, so be it. And, being 18 and fresh out of high school and really not wanting to be at school more, I, of course, decided that I wasn't going to show. And grades reflected that. So after my first semester, I decided college really wasn't for me at that point in time. And I was living at home with a single mom, and I was told basically, well, you've got one of two choices. You're either going to go to school or you're going to find a job. So I started working as a cable TV repairman, and basically from there, I found out about the union. They were accepting applications, so I came down and put an application in, ended up getting in, and went through my apprenticeship, graduated with that, and then became a journeyman electrician. I worked out in the industry, working in everything from high-rise hotels, apartment complexes, retail stores, industrial applications, pretty much everything that you can think of. Ended up getting hurt while I was doing that. And my doctor had basically told me at that point in time, hey, look, your body is not able to handle this type of work anymore. You really need to look for something else. So I finally decided that I was going to go back to college. I went back to Grand Valley State, graduated during COVID with a degree in information systems with a minor in information security and cybersecurity. And I thought, okay, this is the field I'm going to go into until I went for one of my very first interviews, and I just found out that it really wasn't what I wanted. And at that point in time, we actually were, the local that I work for was actually looking for someone to come on staff and help out doing the organizer role. So I interviewed and ended up taking the position here. So within this organization, I kind of like Amanda, I wear a multitude of hats. I work as an organizer. I work as the dispatcher, which is the person that sends people out for work. I work as someone who sits on our apprenticeship committee, making decisions about what the apprenticeship is going to have and things like that. I serve in the group called the Electrical Workers Minority Caucus. The group is basically the purpose of that group is to get minorities more involved in the electrical industry and more in construction in general, but show them interest in things like that so that we do have more diversity. I will say that since that program has come on, we actually have increased quite a few more females in our industry. We actually have right now we have 6 females that are going through our apprenticeship program in different levels, as well as we have African Americans, some Latinx, all involved in our apprenticeship program.
That's awesome, Jeff. And I think it goes to speak to what Amanda said about being at the forefront there. I know
Yes.
here at West Michigan Works, we have a council dedicated to building the workforce up across West Michigan, specifically in construction. And I think 80% of our attendees are women too. So
Yes.
I think the point we're trying to make is if you are a woman, don't be scared about getting into the industry, because I think that time is starting to surpass us, thankfully. So, Jeff, I do have a question for you real quick.
Sure.
When I was in high school, like you guys, I had no idea about jobs in construction, and definitely didn't know about apprenticeships. So I was wondering if you could kind of break down what an apprenticeship looks like and how that could be a good fit for students here today.
Yeah. So basically what an apprenticeship is in really simple terms is instead of going to college, earning college credits and then graduating with a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or even a master's degree, what some people will do is they refer to it as trade school or an apprenticeship. Just about every skilled trade has an apprenticeship program. Whether you want to be a cement mason, operating engineers to control the cranes and the dozers and things like that, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, all of them have an apprenticeship program, and it is regulated by the state basically as to how long and what all is required during that apprenticeship program. In the state of Michigan, for an apprenticeship, for an electrical apprenticeship, it's required of 8,000 hours on the job experience and about 895 hours in school training. Once you receive those hours, which usually takes about 4, sometimes 4.5 years, you then are eligible to sit for the state Journeyman Electrician's exam, which you can go and take. And then if you pass that, you become a Journeyman Electrician within the state of Michigan. And then if you want to continue further, and maybe look at like something like what Amanda's doing, 2 more years in the industry, and then you can sit and become a master electrician. When you get your master's license, basically it opens a lot of doors. It gives you the ability to open up your own company, to bid work, do things like that. So yeah, an apprenticeship program basically is just it's more of a hands-on skill set that is set basically for whatever industry you're looking to get into.
And during those, Jeff, I heard you get paid too, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Our apprenticeship is an earn while you learn program. One of the nice things about it is that I told you this, Mac. When I took my very last class at Grand Valley State, it was during COVID, so everything was virtual. One class with a teacher that I never really met. It was all virtual and things like that. That class alone was a $3,000 class. And that class actually was more expensive than all 5 years of my apprenticeship. My apprenticeship, when I came through, was about $2,000 for all 5 years that I went through. That included all my books, that included the fees for the teaching, the labs, all that stuff. And then, you start off and you're working in the industry. And then the way that our wage package works is it's based on how many hours you have. So when you work and you work steady and you attend school and class, after about 6 months, you receive a raise. And then 6 months after that is another raise. And then it just continues going like that in steps until you receive your journeyman's license.
Yeah. So just going back to everything you said too, if I do the math correctly, you can earn while you learn. And within 6 years, you could potentially become a master electrician or journeyman electrician and have your own business by the time, some people are just finishing up college, right? So
Yeah.
I think that is the big draw to construction as well. If you're thinking, okay, I want to make money now, I want to get going with my life. I don't know if I necessarily am cut out for college and sitting in there. It's a great opportunity to earn money while you're learning what to do. Yeah, Amanda, go ahead.
I was going to say, not only can you earn while you learn, there are some companies out there, like my company, will actually pay for your courses for you. So not only that, but like the classes and stuff. So we currently have 3 of our employees actually going back through and earning their journeyman electrical license right now. So we pay for that for our employees. So it depends on each company. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but a lot more of the union electrician is generally more if you're in doing a lot of commercial, because we don't see as many union electricians on the residential side. So I deal a little bit more with residential, which is homes. So if you're looking more for like homes and home building, you don't necessarily have to do the union type thing. It's the same kind of concept, though. You're learning similar things, right? So the apprentice program for the electrical is still the same, but it's slightly different in what it is that you're doing. Now, in commercial jobs, a lot of times you have to have different things, and they will require different union contracts and different things like that. So just know it's kind of good to maybe do job shadows and see, do I want to work like in commercial buildings and high-rise buildings or factories and do the electrical and that kind of thing? Or do I like more working in the homes or the residential? Because we're kind of 2 different divisions there.
Yep. And I would agree with you, Amanda, 100%. Our apprenticeship program that we actually have set up, we have residential program. We do have a couple of companies that do it. Mainly, a lot of their stuff that they do is insurance based, like helping out with claims and stuff. Not a lot of new construction. But you are absolutely correct. The world is your oyster, and what I would add to that too, Mac, is that even if you decided that you wanted to go to college after you get your journeyman's license, again, there's a lot of doors that can be open. There's electrical estimating, there's project management, there's engineering, there's all sorts of different stuff that you can get into. And having the experience of in the field actually just makes you even more valuable to a company to do that.
Yeah, I always kind of thought about it too. When you go through those apprenticeship programs, kind of like playing a sport, right? Like you're practicing every single day, and then you're getting paid, or you're learning more about how to become a better professional, right? So making that transition from maybe high school to your adult life, your career life, it's good to have. You have so much mentorship that goes through that too. So you're not alone when you go through it, which is nice as well. So. Jeff, I'm going to just kick it back to you one more time before we introduce Jared here, and just say, if there's anything that you would like to say, or maybe some advice that you would like to give to the students in attendance today.
Yeah. If I was to give any advice to the students, I would say, find something that you enjoy doing. Because it's not necessarily a job at that point. If you find something that you really like to do, it really encourages you to be able to go to work every day, to show up, to have a great attitude, do things like that. I personally, as Mac knows, I consider myself a gypsy. So I really like the idea of being able to go and see different things and see different sites. And my job, working in construction, I have seen some of the most beautiful sunsets and sunrises that this state has to offer. I've seen a lot of really cool stuff. So it kind of helps fill that little gypsy soul portion that I have. So I would definitely say that find something that you love to do. And then that way it's not so hard to go to work.
That is priceless advice right there, right? I think, and that kind of goes back to what we were saying. It's like, you have to have the mindset that, if you like to play sports, okay, this is going to be my sport from now on. Or if you like to draw, I'm going to paint this picture and it's going to be my career, right? So looking at construction in different ways, I think it is very opportunistic, especially for students. So thank you, Jeff. And then we'll come back to the panel as well, but I want to make sure that Jared gets his time as well. Jared Mendoza is our next panelist. He's from Summit Point Roofing. Looks like he's actually on the job site today, doing the meeting from his car, which I love. So, Jared, good morning. And I just want to introduce you and then maybe give a little bit of background about who you work for, what you do, and maybe your path so far to date.
All righty. Well, to begin with, good morning, everybody. I first and foremost want to apologize for the setting. I am at work right now currently. We're actually doing a job right now. And so, yeah, that's why I'm here. So my name is Jared, and I've been working for Summit Point Roofing for about 2 years now. And it didn't all just start off like that at all. Not at all. Honestly, from being, I would say, yeah, junior in high school, I started working, here and there at restaurants, sometimes even doing deliveries. And one thing that stuck with me that I would like to say is that everywhere I went, no matter where I go, even right now on the road, there's always construction. There's always some type of work. There's always somebody in a high vis shirt. And it made me wonder, like, wow, is that really, is there really more to it? Because I've noticed not only do a lot of younger people and older people answer this trade, but it's just a variety of other people who just come from different backgrounds and different stories. And I would like to, be a part of that. And not only that, but it also drew me to the craftsmanship of it all, being able to say, hey, I did that. Or, hey, yeah, you see that building right there? I did that repair, and it's kind of funny now because I'll be in the car with a friend of mine and, we'll be driving around somewhere in, East Grand Rapids. Oh, hey, I did that house right there. Oh, that house right there, that's me. So, yeah, that's one thing I've really noticed quite a lot. There's a lot of construction and going around about that. And I graduated high school in 2018. And my last recent job right there and then was to be a upcoming manager. It was a management training program that would pretty much be able to manage any type of situation, whether it's a retail store to, your little LLCs and stuff like that. And being in that little office, environment didn't really caught my attention. It felt nice, looking good and going to work and having a coffee in hand, but something just didn't really sit right. And it wasn't just because the customer service or customer satisfaction wasn't there. It was just me solely not being happy I'm doing one in my job. And that's one thing that really brought me to my attention in construction, that I like being hands-on. I grew up being hands-on. I actually grew up in Texas for a couple of years with my grandma helping out in the farm down in her ranch over there. But that's one thing that really brought my attention to the actual manual labor that you can also do, or the actual knowledge that you can gain and also put into work as well. Because it can be physical, yes, but it's something that you can decide. Would you rather use a lot more physical work, manual labor, or would you rather use your, the strongest organ that you have?
That's awesome. And personally, Jared, I love that you're at a job site right now. I think that's, you're dedicated. I love that. So yep. Another thing too, that I think you hit on was, I feel like everyone tries sometimes to be something that they might not be, or do something that they don't love, right? So like, you go back to when you're a kid, and I think that's like the most genuine self that you have. What do you like to do? Is it building Legos? Okay, well, maybe you'd be a great laborer. Do you like to play video games? Maybe you'd be great on CAD design, or an architect building buildings, working with technology. And then also you hit on one other thing that I think is great about construction. I would say you're problem solving, if not on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on every single minute, you're trying to find a solution to a problem. So I know that we've had 2 electricians so far, wearing different hats, within their roles. What would you say, is the best thing about roofing? Is it something that you see yourself doing going forward? And what's a day look like for you?
Well, to begin with, right now, yes, I am considered a roofer, but my main specialty is flat roofing, which considers EPDM to TPO. And EPDM is basically just a very high graded rubber that will go onto a roof, a flat roof, of course, and serve as a system right there for your roof. Not only that, but like I said before, the TPO is also another source of material that is also used on flat roofs. And with that being said, I do flop in between. Like right now, I'm actually doing a garage, a 5 square garage, really, pretty small, decent. Um, and it's usually about the times when we have, a little bit of rainy days like this, since we all live in Michigan, we all can't predict how the weather's going to be. So yeah, I mainly be on flat roofs, but once we got, a rainy day or things are looking up to be slow, I do flop over to the asphalt side of things. And I start doing a lot of shingle repairs and, full on scale jobs like that. But yeah, mainly my specialty is flat roofing. Flat roofing honestly has its own how do I say it, branches of things as well. There's residential and there's commercials, and you'll be surprised, a lot of like awkward and weird spots on a lot of big houses can just be fitted perfectly with EPDM or anything like that that would amend for that awkward transition.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to that problem solving, right? Like,
Exactly,
how do we
exactly.
make this work? I think that's one thing I've always admired about people in construction. I mean, they call it putting out fires, but what they're really doing is solving a problem, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. You really
not
you
everything's
really
going to
gotta
be perfect. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
You really got to set that bar for yourself too, because like you said before, you will enter a lot of issues, especially with construction. You're touching houses that, generations were living in there, from the 1700s, maybe 1900s, and you're just now opening it up, so who knows what it might be. It might be really good. It might be just structural really bad, might need a whole reframe, and your day is gone right there, expecting it to be just a maybe, okay, swap out this OSB deck inside right here, and then we'll be done. When in reality, no, we can't, because we got trusses that are just structurally bad. They're rotten. We got leak points everywhere that need to be taken care of. And depending on the situation as well, we are able to sister some boards into trusses to give you our stronger structural and foundation. And that'll be a simple repair there, but most cases it'll have to be a whole framer. And since we're just roofers, that right there is also a duty for our HR to give them the homeowner or the property owner, and give them the heads up and telling them, hey, we opened our job and it's really not looking like what it's supposed to be, nor what you signed in the contract, so let's regroup and see what we can work on.
Yeah, and I feel like basically everything that all three of you have said goes back to that spider web, right? Like you can be,
Oh, yeah.
but you're, just a flat roofer. Like all of that, I think that's so cool that you can have those different opportunities within construction. So before we open it back up, I just want to ask you, Jared, like same kind of question. What advice would you give to somebody in this career or pursuing this career? But also, what do you like about construction the most? Like if you had to pick one thing, is it working with a multitude of people for the problem solving, or what's your favorite aspect of working in this industry? And do you see yourself working in this industry for the time being in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh yeah, most definitely. This is something I really want to follow. If not, like you said, like we've all said before, we can also follow another trade. And I'm actually gonna hit up Mr. Yonkers here for his information, because I really would like to start an apprenticeship of some sort. But yeah, going back to that, if you're gonna be in construction, it's something that you really gotta value. You not only value yourself, but others around you. You really, really gotta be on your toes. It may seem like, oh, it's whatever. We're outside in public, and I'm not only getting paid, and I'm with some coworkers that I might like. It's cool and all that, but you also gotta realize that you're dealing with big boy tools. You're dealing with big boy jobs, big boy properties sometimes, and it's not a joke. You really got to take the responsibility up there and set. Unfortunately, there's some companies out there, if you don't have that, professionalism nor the attitude to strive better, they won't even want you in their company. They won't even want you setting a foot with their crew, just because knowing that your attitude is not going to be helpful for anybody. And that's one thing I need a lot of these students to really understand, is your attitude. Your attitude would literally take you anywhere you would go. Life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. I've met a lot of people in this construction industry, and they're honestly they're all a jack of cards. Like, you would honestly be surprised. Like, there be men that I know that's about, I don't know, 43 kids, 4 kids, and we're talking about a video game that we both like, and not only that, but we're going back to, okay, hey, how do you feel about doing this job this way? Oh, okay, yeah, I like your idea. Let's go with that. And it's just, teamwork. Teamwork is what really gets you somewhere. If you can't work with anybody or put in or give out an outcome together, then it's not for you. It's really not. Because you just, maybe if you get lucky, you will be sent out doing the job by yourself. But if and when that happens, that's going to be a rare occasion, unless you're starting up with a very, very small company. But yeah, be very aware of your surroundings, especially about with the younger side of the class. Be very careful about what you do the day after too. You know what I mean? I know around this time of age, everybody wants to, have fun. The weekend is there. You're young. But be careful what you do over the weekend, because what you can do that night before can get you in the next morning after. And one thing I had a very good friend of mine tell me. He said that if you what did he say? Oh yeah, if you stay up with the night owls, you ain't gonna be ready to fly with the eagles in the morning. So you decide what you want to be. You want to be an owl or you want to be an eagle? So you decide.
That's awesome, man. And I appreciate you, being transparent about that aspect, because you do see within construction, a lot of these crews take pride in the work they do. Okay, how good is our against another crew? Hey, we're getting these buildings and these jobs done way quicker than them, right? Like, and 40, 50, 60 hours a week with these people every single week. Even if you don't like everybody, you're still going to work as a team, because you take pride in the work that you do. Just like you were saying, driving down the road, hey, I built that. Hey, I worked on that job. That's how you can definitely tell someone's in construction, by the way. So, Jared, I think that's all really, really great stuff. And like I said, thank you for being transparent. So we have about 13 minutes left. So we have some questions in our chat that I'm just going to go over real quick. So the first one we have is, if you go and any three of you can answer this. So Jeff, Amanda, and Jared, I'm going to kind of make this now the panel discussion going forward. So if you go to college first and learn about construction, do you learn more about it later? And what's the favorite part of your job? So I'll kind of kick it off to whoever is willing to answer that one.
Well,
I don't stop learning.
Jared,
Nobody ever stops. Like, just because you guys are done with like high school, you don't stop learning. Like, whether you choose to do college or whether you choose to do an apprentice program, like, you never stop learning. And like, I actually am enrolled back now. And I mean, I'm old. I'm an old lady, old enough to be all of your moms out there. But I'm actually enrolled back in Michigan State right now. I'm actually a journeyman electrician. I'm in the journeyman apprentice program for the electrician, because I started on the low voltage side where you don't have to have the same electrical license. And now I'm moving into the electrical side since we opened up an electrical division. So you never stop learning. Like, every day, learn from the people around you, learn from the other crews that you work with. I mean, we learn from the framers, and we learn from the roofers, and we learn from the HVAC people. So you never, ever stop learning. Just because you're not in a classroom every single day, like, the world becomes your classroom. Your job site becomes your classroom. And if you're smart, you pay attention and you listen to the other people that are out on that job site, and you learn every day.
Yeah, I know that you take that to heart, because every time that we talk, you tell me I'm just trying to learn as much as possible. So that is very true. The education part will help, obviously, and then you pair that with your on the job training. You can really pick up some great knowledge. So Jared, and then we'll kick it over to Jeff real quick. Same question.
Yeah, going back to what Amanda said, like a lot of this, certifications that you can get and go to school, yeah, it'd be very, very useful. A lot. Don't get me wrong. The knowledge and going to school is very great and swell. But a lot of, and I really hope I don't want to offend anybody saying this, but a lot of the times they are people who really aren't, street smarts, and you'll be surprised how far that would take you. Like, honestly, there isn't a book out there that will tell you, hey, make sure you're paying attention when so-and-so is talking. Hey, don't speak over so-and-so. Hey, make sure you go to work and pack a lunch and maybe some sunscreen for later on, and no one tells you that. So with that being said, half of the things that you will encounter, you're gonna just have to pick up as you go. Survival of the fittest. You're gonna have to adapt to what you have and what you will have seeking here out throughout the future.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jared. Jeff, what about you?
I think both of the panelists hit it out of the park with both of these. I will say that, and I'm sure that Jared and Amanda can agree. If you decide to go from high school right into college, most of the time you're going to start with your generic basic courses anyway, math and English and things like that. And believe it or not, those kind of things actually do help you even in the construction industry. In the electrical portion, math is huge. I don't think that you can get through a single day without doing some kind of math equivalent, whether it be that you're doing load calculations, you're bending pipe, you're filling, things with roofing, you're trying to figure out pitches, you're trying to figure out how many square a roof is, things like that. So math is extremely important. English communication is huge. Like both Jared and Amanda said, you're trying to communicate with the 10 other trades that are on this job site. You're trying to learn how to read these blueprints and read these little notes. I mean, you're looking at a piece of paper that's probably 2 foot or 3 foot wide, but the note on it is probably maybe 1.25 inches by maybe 2 inches. And you're trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to say in there. So, if you did decide to go to college and then came into the trades, that's perfectly fine. It actually might give you a small leg up because of the fact that you're fresh with the math, you're fresh with English and things like that you may not have had coming right out of college.
Okay, so I have to help the math teachers though out there, if there are any math teachers listening, because I know there's this huge thing on TikTok right now. I know my kids call me a boomer because they say I'm an old lady, but there is a TikTok out there that they say it's been X amount of days since I've used the Pythagorean theorem, right? And you all knock your teachers and you're not going to learn that, right? I kid you not. I had about 5 years ago, we were doing a really, really intense home theater for someone. And I had to figure out the math on it. And I sat there and all of a sudden I was like, some file folder in my head and the Pythagorean theorem popped out. And like, that's what I had to have to do this, to do all the angles and everything. And I was like, holy crow, like I couldn't believe like it was in my file and I'm old. So just know I'm the old lady and I still picked it up. And so those things that your teachers are teaching you that you think you don't have to pay attention to, still try and catalog it in your brain because you never know when that's all of a sudden going to pop up. I mean, it's crazy.
That's awesome. And then, Amanda, we have a couple more questions specifically to you. So from everything you've told me, True Media is like just an awesome company with the things you guys do. So one thing that I always look at is new technology within construction. So would you mind just going into detail about a couple things or a couple projects that you've done that you think have been really cool technology-wise?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you the coolest project that I ever did is any of you guys that are football players or football fans out there, I did Kirk Cousins' house. So that was fun. So when you do houses, like I think Jared was saying, like you go drive around like East Grand Rapids or, things like that. And you get to see some of the houses. I mean, we work all the way over to Lansing, all the way up to Northport, Michigan, all the way down to New Buffalo. So we pretty much cover all of West Michigan, the lakeshore. And so we work on some houses that are crazy. And like on the low voltage side of things, just so you know, like what I do in that part of the business, I'm not in need. Like nobody needs what it is that I do really on the low voltage side. most of what I do on the low voltage side is a want. So I get to work on some really, really cool wants that people have. That being said, on top of doing like home theaters, we've done golf simulator rooms, we've done shooting simulator rooms, we've done safe rooms. I can have where when your phone like is set up to geofencing, if you're coming into your home in your driveway, it knows that it's you. And however you want your home to look when you walk in, like if you want the garage, a specific garage door bay to open, if you want specific lights to come on, if you want a specific TV program to be on, if you want certain music to come on, all of those things I automate. So although I don't always do every single job, my job is so important to communicate really, really well with the other trades out there, because I might not be installing the HVAC system, but I need to know what HVAC system it is, because if I want to control it and have the temperature set to a certain setting, I need to know what it is that they're doing. If I want that garage door to open, I'm not installing the garage door, but I have to communicate with those people that are on that team so that I know what I have to program in to make that garage door open. And so for me, and this is where I think that women specifically are really good at it, is my first meeting with a client is very much discovery and education. So I educate them on what's possible, and I have to discover how they live their life in their home, because most people are very what we call habitual, meaning they do the exact same thing every single day. And if you guys sit for this next couple of days or this next week, you'll find for the most part, you wake up at the same time, you go like maybe have a cup of coffee or have your breakfast, or you take a shower at a certain time or whatever it is that you do. What I do is I discover what all those things are. And then if I can automate those and make those happen automatically. So your lights turn on at a certain time, your motorized shades open up. If you have a heated floor in your bathroom, it starts heating. If you have coffee that you want in the morning, the coffee starts. So I make all of those things kind of like work together. It's a ton of fun because it's like I build George Jetson houses like every single day, which is really, really cool.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's like futuristic house builder.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. One other thing, real quick, just technology wise, I had the opportunity to go over to a general contractor, and they were showing me nowadays you can put a VR set on and actually see the building that you're going to build and walk through that building before it's even built. And there's people that put that program into the computer, take the blueprints, build that on their computer before it's built. And it's just, it's really cool to see where technology is kind of taking construction. So I think we'll have time for about 2 more questions. I know we did get off to a little bit of a late start, but Jared, this is kind of a double parter for you from the chat that we got from our students. And it says, you know, 1, how fun is roofing and how long does it take to do, you know, a certain job? And then 2, do construction workers really eat their lunches on the roofs of the buildings sometimes?
Well, for question 1, honestly, can you repeat that question one more time for the first one?
Yeah, how much do you like roofing? Let's say like scale 1 to 10. And then how long does it usually take to do a job?
Honestly, roofing for me at this point, it's kind of like a second nature. So I love it. It's like a 10 out of 10. You know, I don't know what it was, even just on the first day being on, you know, working for Summit Point Roofing, they kind of already figured like, hey, you know, this kid is green behind the ears still, but he's well aware of what's going on. But not only that, but safety. And that's also one thing I kind of want to touch on about safety. Safety is your friend. Like, trust me, even if it takes 10 to 15 minutes out of your time, your work time and project time, take it, because it will save your life. And that maybe not only yours, but it will also save a coworker's life too. But yeah, usually about, let's say like today with this 5 square garage, like this would normally take us about a good half day. Yeah. But it also depends on what we're dealing with too. Are we dealing with a 2-layered, 3-layered building? We won't know until we open it. And that's the thing, the sad part about kind of getting into these roofs and the sales side also, because you can't really just go, hey, you know, we want to fix your roof, but here's a quote for it. How do you feel? Maybe the homeowner's iffy about it, and you still want to proceed on what's going on, so you have a better idea and a better material list having, ready for us for your crew. So with that being said, we have these things called, what are they called? They're literally like, man, I literally forgot the name of it, but honestly, it's just like a little saw. Core sample. It's a core sample, and it's literally a saw. You put it in the drill. It has a little circular saw, and it will cut into that roof, and it will pull out, and you could see like a Talenti yogurt. You could see the layers of what's in there and what you got. From old decking to new decking, and it's crazy. I've actually seen decking, piled up onto each other like a sandwich, and yeah, that's honestly the downside part of that. Because if there is a 2-layer or 3-layer, just know that your half day turns to a whole day from the pickup to the just tearing off.
I think that kind of goes back to everything that you guys said throughout this discussion, right? Every single day is different. There could be a job that you expect to take an hour and it's an all-day event. There could be a job that you think is going to take forever and you guys breeze through it. So yeah, thank you for that. So we're just going to answer one more question, then I'm going to allow all of our panelists to have closing remarks real quick. But I think it's an important question that we need to answer because we get it a lot. And that's about, the money that's within construction. So I'm going to kick this one over to Jeff and just, I think some people have the myth that there's not money in construction. And Jeff has done a great job in the past of answering this question and letting us all know that, yes, you can make money during an apprenticeship. And yes, there's plenty of money to be made for being a professional in your trade. So, Jeff.
Mac, I'm going to revert back to the same question that I give you every single time that we do this. And that's the question that I ask when I do these in person. And that's, can someone please tell me something that you can do for a living that within 4 to 5 years, you can be making over $100,000 a year without paying any college degree? And the answer is simple. It's construction, skilled trades. And the reason for that is that there's such a demand for skilled trades right now that it's coming at a premium. And so, our apprentices right now, someone who comes in with no experience whatsoever in construction whatsoever, they're starting out at $15 an hour. It's full healthcare is paid for. Their retirement starts immediately and things like that. So it's nothing that you have to worry about. All you have to do is basically show up to work with a good attitude, work your shift, get your hours, and then your pay is increased as you go along. So $15 an hour is usually what we're starting our apprentices off at. Our journeymen are making somewhere right around about $33 to $35 an hour on the check. Total package is about $55, $56 an hour. So retirement is paid for. You don't have to take a dime out of your own pocket to pay for that. Healthcare is included. So again, it's nothing out of your pocket, things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's not to knock college because I do believe that college is important, but I came into the trade, I became a journeyman electrician. And then when I went to college, it was way less that I had to take out for student loans because I was making a great living.
And I think that's a great answer. I mean, you kind of nailed everything. And, there really is ladders here that you can take to make a great living out of this. So I am gonna, if you want to answer this question too, Amanda.
I just want to say something quick about it because I think that I want to caution the kids from looking at like the range for each skill and thinking, okay, I'm going to pick the one that's like the highest because like that's the one I'm going to do. Because like, here's the thing, if you find what you love, it's not going to feel like a job. Right. And you will always make money at any one it is that you do. So like, don't feel limited because that's giving you a range, because like you may choose one, for example, that might be a little bit less like on the actual scale, but you might find you really love it. You really, really enjoy it. And you end up owning your own business in it. And then all of a sudden you're the guy or gal that pushes that scale way up. So don't just look at it like, okay, I'm only going to do this one because this one looks like it's going to make the most, because you're going to make the most at what you're happiest at and what you enjoy every single day. So I know like us, and I know a lot of other companies, they'll do a job shadow day where, you know what, you can come out and you can see what it's like even before you sign up for like the apprentice program and say, okay, well, I'm going to do the 4 years of the journeyman. Maybe go find a couple different construction companies. I mean, the Home Builders Association is a great resource for that. On home, I think there's ABC on the commercial side of things, and they will let you know that there are companies that will take you out for like a job shadow day where after school or maybe on a Saturday, if they have a Saturday crew or whatever, they will take you out and they'll kind of show you what their day is like. There are plenty of companies that will go out there and do it. Find something that you really like and the money will come. I promise you, there's not a skilled trades out there that you won't make money at.
That's
I spot on. I agree with that.
yeah, I think that's unbelievable advice. And you can just tell today, I mean, if anybody wants to take anything, that all three of you are passionate about what you do and seem to be enjoying your career. And it's extremely, extremely, extremely important to your quality of life. So I do want to say thank you to you guys. I know that we're about 5 minutes over. We also had a late start. So I'm just going to offer it up one more time for any closing remarks that each of you want to say, and we'll just kind of go in the same order that we had today. So again, thank you, Amanda, Jeff, and Jared. I appreciate your time. I hope that the students and teachers do as well. So Amanda, any closing remarks from you?
I would just say if you guys are interested in seeing what we do, if you look up True Media Home on any social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, we're on there. Everything on there is 100% our work and 100% our jobs. So if you see something and it looks cool and you have a question about it, feel free to shoot me a DM. It'll come directly to me and I'm happy to answer it. And then any school or any teachers too, if somebody wants to learn more, I'm happy to go and have a conversation or, you know, do a job shadow day or something like that. So good luck. The world's your oyster. You guys have so many opportunities. It's crazy.
Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate that. Jeff?
You know, if I was to give one piece of advice to any of the kids that are out there, one thing is that with almost any skilled trade, we can teach you how to do that skilled trade. But there are sets of things that we cannot teach. We can't teach how to show up every day. We can't teach how to have a good attitude. But those are skill sets that you can learn and that you can have, and you can come into this industry, any skilled trade, and take those and actually flourish. I say all the time that we can take a fry cook and we can make them an electrician, but if they don't show up and they don't want to learn and things like that, it becomes a situation where nobody's going to want to invest that time. So just remember that, you know, if construction is something that interests you, you don't necessarily have to know how to build a house. You don't necessarily have to know how to wire a circuit. We will teach you that, but we can't teach you to show up every day. We can't teach you to have a good attitude. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Jeff. That's awesome. And then Jared, we'll kick it back to you, and then that'll probably be the end of our session.
All righty. Well, one thing I would like to say is that, you know, you're very young. You're gonna have lots of mistakes, man. Lots of mistakes. And let me tell you one thing. I've honestly made quite a few, and I'm surprised that I honestly am still here because they're kind of questionable, you know. And that's the beauty of it, man. If you're responsible, and not only responsible but punctual, and the company not only trust and abides in your trust, then they shouldn't worry about anything else but just saying, hey, learn from your mistakes, don't do this again, you know, because that's the one thing that will get anybody in this industry. One little slip up, one little accident, or just one little and that's already labeling you as that guy or that dude. Or yeah, don't go with him. His lines aren't straight. You know, that's one thing that I would like to say. You know, just be very aware of that. And like I said, man, construction goes beyond this, man. Beyond that, there's masonry, electrician. There's a lot of work to be done. And what's honestly the beauty of it to me is that even when COVID hit, I was one of the unfortunate ones on unemployment, getting money from the government because I just didn't have a job. My job closed down because of this pandemic, and now I got to go off of the government. And when I came into Summit, literally, I would say 4 to 3 months right after the pandemic was over, they were all like, yeah, man, how'd you enjoy that? Did you get any hours in? How was that? And I was like, what do you mean hours? Like, I was unemployed for like 3 months and you guys were getting 12 hours a day still? Excuse me? Okay, so that's something that really opened my eyes, like, honestly. When everything is down, the government, rain, everything is down, you can always trust into the what's it called, the trade to really get you somewhere. Because that shocked me. To this day, it still shocked me that I had to be in unemployment while some of my old coworkers are, in construction and out there making their dollar.
Awesome, Jared. And thank you for joining us, even from the job site. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate everything that you all had to say, and hopefully the students were able to take some of this information and maybe give construction either a second thought or put it at the top of their list now. So thank you, everyone. That will conclude our session for today, and we appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.